first time, or for the last time, we share this moment, and I am grateful for this. I was born to rage.
All right, so hey, welcome. We're here to talk about Under the Volcano. Hope you liked my little intro there, courtesy AWOL Nation. All right, forgive me, but this is gonna be pretty informal approach. It's been quite some time since I've done a video review, but I'm happy to be doing it again. I'm just gonna kind of ramble. I wanna do this all in one take if I can. I'm actually just in between parent-teacher conferences here at work. So I wanted to have a little drinky poo, have a little bit of my poison, Ryan Coke, to celebrate the spirit of Jeffrey Furman. But I can't do that right now. So I would have, if I was doing this at home, I would want to have a little drink to, as I said, celebrate the spirit of the consul, but can't do it. Oh well. Because it's worth honoring. I spent so much time in his brain. Anyway, what made this a 5-star read? And let me back up a little bit of rationale for this video. 5 stars for me. I'll speak about the reasons why. It's a polarizing book. It's not accessible and it is not for everyone. I want to make that abundantly clear, but I absolutely loved it. When I finished, I just realized I felt that familiar kind of desire to put something out there content-wise because I spent so much time with this book and mental energy. I loved my time with this novel. I really marked up my copy with just random notes, markings. So I truly basked in this novel and enjoyed my time and really slowed down. I did an Instagram post the other week and I talked about how it just seems like lately I'm just next book, and I'm constantly needing something to read. And then I just realized, I'm like, just slow down, and it's okay to take some time to write these notes and plan a video and just kind of enjoy what I just read. So it's nice. In the future, my goal is to do a video review like this for every 5-star read. Under the Volcano was my, I think, 5th 5-star read of 2022. All right, so what makes this a 5-star? Well, for me personally, besides the real connection I had with it, there's some other reasons, I think, and number one would be the awesome group I was able to be a part of. I'm not even sure who started it, but I kind of just like lurked and, excuse me, kind of just bounced on in there. So thanks to all of you awesome folks. What great takes and thoughts on the novel all month when we've been reading it. It's just so rewarding to see what other people are saying. Other very smart readers are saying about this book. So that's been great, just having that awesome group there. And another reason would be due to the fact that I'm absolutely a new reader these years, I should say. I tried this book before and I failed. It's important to understand that too. Probably about 5 years ago, I gave it a go and shut it down. It was far too heavy for me and it just wasn't the time. It was an interlibrary loan. But I found it at a thrift store, I want to say about 6 or 8 months ago, and I can't find it anywhere. So obviously I knew I wanted to get back to it. But yeah, so there's the whole Bookstagram and the fact that I think I'm just a little bit more persistent of a reader now too. So that plays into it. Also, there's a terrific YouTube documentary that talks about Malcolm Lowry's life. It's older, but that's fine. It's terrific, and I highly recommend watching that. I did before, and I'm probably going to do it again here right away afterwards. So there's that on YouTube. Helped with the enjoyment, I think. But yeah, and also one of the great people in the group posted a link that was of immense value to my experience. In fact, I would go as far as to say I'm not sure I would have finished the book without this companion website. So it's called the Malcolm Lowry Project, and it is terrific. I would just have my phone on me when I was reading this book to check these references. Obviously, we know the book has a lot of symbolism and a lot of illusions, so I would go down these rabbit holes. The website's incredible. Posted up here a couple of pictures, but like it would just have great contextual and historical references on tons of stuff, like multiple per page. You know, anything from like the military history or the political climate worldwide, some of the stuff about like publication and what Lowry's intentions were behind certain passages and the editing process, you name it. It was so good having that context there. So that website was invaluable. All right, as I said, I'm just gonna muse a little bit here, you guys, with my notes. Yeah, it's not an accessible book. I don't think anyone would say that. And I feel like it's pretty polarizing, right? Like, I find it hard to understand if someone would read this book and finish it and be like, yeah, it was okay. I think they're either in love or they could do without it and quit it, right? But I also think there's a sense of respect and appreciation there. But I talked about the illusions and symbolism. That is going to provide difficulties. I know it certainly did for me the first time I read it without all of the reasons I talked about earlier. Additionally, I think it might turn people off. And again, please chime in on the comments with anything, goes without saying, but the Spanish. There's a significant amount of Spanish in this book, and I found myself last time getting frustrated with not knowing what was being said in the text. So on that website, it also had translation. So it was nice having that piece, just translating all of the Spanish that was in there. So keeping up with that dialogue, right? That was invaluable. And of course, people are going to be turned off because of the general atmosphere and tone, particularly the first half of this book, which is dark, hard-hitting, disturbing, depressing. But I gotta say, it got better as it went. And the second half of the book, I will maintain, contains a great deal of beauty in it. And on that note, the book's filled with dichotomy. Love and hate, hope and despair, beauty and degradation. There are scenes with drunken delusion and inspiring grace, or whatever. So I think Lowry is doing this stressing of opposites throughout the story. At least I noticed it. And I'm not too concerned about spoilers, so I can say this. Not to mention, after the first chapter, we know what's going to happen in this book. So if you're worried about spoilers, maybe tune out here. But towards the end of the novel, as the consul is approaching his demise, he's reckless. It's so riveting to read and powerful, but he is this downward spiral and things are coming to a head. And he talks about having this frame of mind he describes as a gruesome gaiety as he deals with these escalating situation with the military Mexican police there. And then he's drunk and he's yearning for his beloved farolito, this cantina that he enjoys the most. He refers to it as the paradise of his despair. So yeah, there's that contrast, right? And there's this other section. He's floating in an amber glow as he's waking up and he's trying to conquer his hangover and continued impairment. He faces his day before him, which stretched out like a illimitable, rolling, wonderful desert in which he was going, though in a delightful way, to be lost. And it carries on after that to say, the disaster might even be found at the end to contain a certain element of triumph. So I, again, just struck by kind of the back and forth and stressing of opposites. I gotta say, the consul, Jeffrey Furman, needs to be considered one of the greatest protagonists in literary history, at least in terms of self-destructive protagonists. And yeah, at this point, we do need to talk about the extent of truth behind it all. As I'm sure everyone's aware of, I guess we'll never know the true extent of how much Jeffrey Furman is supposed to be Malcolm Lowry, but it's a lot. And just to know that I feel like you are, all these passages and this story of Furman is Malcolm Lowry, and just knowing that, it added an element to this book that was just great, I think. And for me, I think another reason why I connected so much, you guys, is because I do have an addictive personality. I'm aware of that, and I think if you finish the book, at some point, readers are going to be looking inward, I guess. And, he struggles with this addiction so bad, and I know that I have that a little bit, right? I can't say that I have mental illness or anything, but I do get anxiety and I do have struggles just like everyone else. And some parts of this book really caused me to kind of think about the ways my beliefs and what how I act with people and what I do and all these sorts of things. So it was really powerful in that sense, I gotta say. Okay, and then I also kind of wanted to mention the consul's spirituality and his morals, I guess. Throughout the book, we get a real sense of him just trying to become a better person, a human being who is capable of love and life and coherence in some scenes. He struggles so bad, but this one section, it says, as mezcal tears come to his eyes, he thinks back to the previous night when he's with this Dr. Vigil, and he's actually at the church, the consul is, and he's praying to the Virgin Mary. And this is what he says: please let me make her happy. Deliver me from this dreadful tyranny of self. I have sunk low. Let me sink lower still, that I may know the truth. Teach me to love again, to love life. So I remember reading that, and it's jaw-dropping stuff. I think it's beautiful, and especially when it's contrasted with all of the bleakness in it. So that was really, really cool. And another point I just wanted to make, and I got to give a shout out here to Jack over at Rambling Raconteur, reading his post. He's got a great video on it as well, but he mentioned to me in our brief correspondence, it was in his post, I think, but talking about Yvonne's character, who we understand is meant to loosely represent Marjorie Lowry, Malcolm's second wife, loosely, I think. But what a character. Yvonne's arc is fascinating. Like her whole, background as a celebrity in Hollywood to her, leaving Jeffrey and her involvement with the others. But later in the book, we get some parts from the letters she wrote to Jeffrey, and they are filled with tenderness and beauty. So her character, and then not to mention how she kind of meets her demise towards the end of the book is, I think Jack said you can argue that her character, her arc is more tragic than the consul's, and I can totally see that. Yeah, so that was great as well. I didn't have too much else. I guess what I wanted with this video is to either do one of two things. I want you to either be drawn towards Under the Volcano, or I want you to be drawn away from it, just knowing kind of what I've said here. So maybe you want to go for it now, or maybe you want to take a step back from it. Either way, I hope you took something from this video. Please stay tuned if you want to. I'm just going to do a few more minutes of reading some passages back in my book and reflecting on those. But thanks for watching. Please hit me up with the comments. Take care of yourselves, readers, and hopefully we'll see you soon. So this is about approaching the halfway point. The consul's in his back garden. The consul, an inconceivable anguish of horripilating hangover thunderclapping about his skull, and accompanied by a protective screen of demons nattering in his ears, became aware that in the horrid event of his being observed by his neighbors, it could be hardly supposed he was just sauntering down his garden with some innocent horticultural object in view. There's some parts that, you feel bad for almost laughing at any point in this book, but shit, that's funny. And I think it's funny because as drunk as he is, and, being drunk a handful of times myself in my life, you almost want to push through the fog of the drunkenness and insist to yourself that you're actually aware and coherent and conscious. And so he continually does that throughout the book. He's still so, I don't know if articulate's the word, I guess, but he fights through that drunken or hungover state. And it's pretty admirable, actually. Yeah. Here's this part I was talking about. I have it bracketed and it says, wow. This is later in the book, so I want to say this is part of Yvonne's letters to the consul. Listen to this. How happy they seemed in one another. Lovers they were, or on their honeymoon. Their future would stretch out before them, pure and untrammeled as a blue and peaceful lake. And thinking of this, Yvonne's heart felt suddenly light as that of a boy on his summer holidays, who rises in the morning and disappears into the sun. Holy cow. This is from Yvonne's perspective, the chapter, which I never talked about in the main part of the video, but like, yeah, you get different chapters from Yvonne's perspective and Hugh's. It's awesome. So this is, yeah, the Yvonne chapters and the Hugh chapters were terrific. This book is consistently, it was consistently great for me. Let's see if I find some other ones here quick. This is in the last half, the second half as well. I love this part here. Goes back to what I was saying about how he like tries to like fight through this. He calls them his familiars, actually, is the voice in his head. So good. There's just narration here from the console. Raise your head, Jeffrey Furman. Breathe your prayer of thankfulness. Act before it is too late. So this is him fighting his demons, knowing he needs to stop drinking, knowing he needs to communicate with Vaughn, right? The desire passed is the next sentence, right? So there's that dichotomy again. So good. Check this one out too. I love this. Do you really like it? M. L'Oreal asked him, and the consul, sucking a lemon, felt the fire of the tequila run down his spine like lightning striking a tree, which thereupon miraculously blossoms. What a great description of doing a shot of tequila, hey? Fucking amazing. Yeah. So last one I'll do. This is as he's approaching his demise towards the end of the book, and that's fucking riveting. He's he senses his end. It's almost like he wants his end. And I'm not going to spoil how he meets his end, but listen to this. He felt free to devour what remained of his life in peace. At the same time, a certain gruesome gaiety, I talked about that, was creeping into his mood, and in an extraordinary way, a certain lightheaded mischievousness. He was aware of a desire at once for complete glutted oblivion and for an innocent youthful fling.